Hello, everyone. Welcome to I Love Myself Fix presents Coming Into Grace, a new podcast hosted by mother and son duo at Courtney's Fix and at Osh's Fix. Today, we're joined by DJ D Sharp. How are you doing today?
Peace, peace. How y'all doing?
Peace and love.
We're
doing
wonderful.
well. Yeah. Man, may I ask, what time is it where you are?
It is 2:08 p.m.
2:08
right now. Yep, we on PST right now. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And may I ask you to share what it is that you do with our listeners?
Well, I'm DJ D Sharp. I am a DJ producer. I am from Oakland, California, born and raised. A lot of people might know me from DJing for the Golden State Warriors, being the official DJ for the Golden State Warriors. I'm also on the radio station here, KMEL, every night from 11 p.m. to 12 a.m. So I have a mixed show there. I do a lot of things. Got a new single coming out this Friday with a friend of mine named Sam, who's just a brilliant artist and songwriter, singer-songwriter. So we collabed on a song, and we wanted to talk about what was going on with being quarantined and chilling. So basically, like, you know, when COVID first started, it was like, man, it was crazy, right? Like, I'm sure with you guys, like, you know, you stuck in a house with just your loved ones, you know what I mean? And that got a lot of negative energy, you know what I mean? Like, just being like, they were talking about divorce rates were going to go up, and, you know, people were going to get sick of their loved ones and all that kind of stuff. So we were like, you know, we had a conversation, and I mean, you know, we're blessed to have our home, so we got space, you know what I mean? So I didn't get tired of my family, like, you know what I mean? If anything, COVID brought us closer together, you know what I mean? And we, you know, we quarantined, and we, you know, watched movies, we played games, we, you know, I went outside, shot hoops with my sons, played ball with my sons, like, my wife was homeschooling them. So, you know, it was, you know, we were really quarantining and chilling. So that's what the song is about. It drops this Friday on all digital platforms. So I'm excited about it.
What's the name? So we can find it, and so everyone else.
The name of the song is called Quarantine and Chill. And
Yeah.
it's from Sam, SAMM, and then DJ D Sharp. So yeah.
DJ D Sharp.
Okay, I can't wait to hear that. That's also beautiful. I mean, and I just want to say this one thing, because, and you're touching on this with this quarantine, so many people are like, oh my gosh, it's so new. And it's not. It's so old school.
Right.
Like,
They so old school. Yeah, it's like, you know, you was in the house, or you know, the kids now, like, they hop on, you know, devices, and, you know, but when we were coming up, it was like, you go outside, you play, you know what I mean? So
you were always with your family back in the day. Like, we were
exactly.
always, you know, most people didn't live in big homes. Most people,
Exactly.
even rich people, they lived in small homes. People always were quarantining back in the day.
Exactly. So, and that's what I'm saying. Like, it was when you heard all the negative, like, you know, oh, I'm stuck in a house with my wife, or you heard about like domestic abuse going up during that time, you know what I mean? And it was just like, it was just all negative stuff. And it was like, nah, like, this is actually cool. You know what I mean? We're growing closer together. You know what I mean? It kind of let us sit back, take a breath, and just be like, you know, focus on what's important, and that's family.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the relationships that are hitting the wall, like,
right,
you know, that's partially an evaluation of what were the core reasons in the first place of why that union started, and can that core change and be reframed to be pulled back together?
Right.
Or is it, no, it cannot, you know?
Right.
So, yeah.
Totally.
May I ask what it is that you do every single, it may not be every single day, but something that you designate as DJ D Sharp time, like my time to center myself, whatever you need to do. Would you share what it is that you do?
That's a great question. For me, I think also with quarantining and chilling with your family is that time to have your own space, right?
Okay.
So I would get up and just kind of work out, jump rope, push-ups, you know, just healthy stuff, you know what I mean? And listen to my music, listen to podcasts, listen to music that because, you know, as a DJ, you got to stay hip on what's everything that's going on. So like, it's even with COVID-19 happening, people are still releasing music at an alarming rate. I mean, it's just getting, it's not stopping, right? So it's like, as a DJ, I've been doing Zooms and Zoom dance parties and stuff like that, which have been dope. So it's like, I still got to stay hip on what's happening with the music. So I usually go in the garage or outside, put on my headphones, and then just go in the zone.
Oh, that's cool.
That's cool.
That again, I know I'm gonna stop saying, but that again is so old school, right? I mean, that is, it's not lights flashing,
Right.
it's not dark, it's where you are. Like, that's beautiful.
That's amazing.
That's nice. I'm all caught in the party, like I transported.
Right.
You got one?
I know we were talking about a little bit earlier how difficult this time is for you.
Yeah.
Well, everyone, you know, but what has been the most difficult part for you to digest or process? And in digesting and processing in that, what tools did you use?
The part for me right now that's really difficult to digest is, you know, the senseless acts of just like Black lives not really mattering to America, right? Like that's been hard, and you know, it's just getting worse and worse. Like we talked about earlier before you guys started recording, it's like, you know, I mean, I really, 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 really like, for me, the double standard that's in America with, you know, like, you know, they shot a Black man in front of his kids 7 times or 9 times.
7 times, yeah.
In his back, right?
Yeah.
And then in the city he was shot in, they turn around and they're protesting about it.
Right.
And then you have a young white supremacist militia kid who shoots and kills 2 people. The cops, they, you know, the kid's walking toward them with the gun he just murdered 2 people with. And people are telling the cops, he just killed 2 people.
Yeah.
But this white kid, you know what I mean? They see him different than they seen Jacob, right? Like like, and that to me is like, it's hard to grasp. Like, you know, I mean, yeah, we come from oppression, right? Like I get that, like, but this is 2020, and it seems as though like right now, you know, it's worse than it ever was. And like, you know, I mean, you can attribute that to Trump, you know what I mean? Like him dividing the country and all of that stuff. But what I do to answer your second question with that is I kind of, I turn to music, man. Like I try to get all that out and just turn to music, doing music, and focus on, like, you know, like I said, with the Zooms that I do for the dance parties or the fundraisers I do, like that's my escape. You know what I mean? Like I really had a difficult time sleeping last night after finding out that that kid had killed 2 people and the cops did nothing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it really hurt. Like it still hurts. Like something has to happen. I don't know what, but something has to happen.
Yeah. I've always had this dream that if I could use this platform to really project and promote my voice and my vision for the world across the world. But I've always wished that I could have like conversations with white supremacists and racists.
Mm-hmm.
And I always imagine the things I'd say to them to, I don't want to say change their mind, but I don't enlighten them to, I don't want to say the struggle, but what it is that we go through.
Right. Because they don't understand. They don't know. And they're not even trying to understand it.
Exactly.
And that's the difficult part. You know what I mean? Like for somebody, like if you go on Twitter, Twitter is the devil. I mean, but like if you go on Twitter, right, and someone posts and says, "Stop killing Black people," right? That's simple. I just retweeted somebody who said that, right? But then somebody would come back and say, "Well, that kid, people were running after that kid, and he was defending himself."
Yeah.
Or for the kid Jacob who got killed. Or I mean, he didn't get killed. He's in a coma right now. Hopefully, praying he pulls through, right? But like, for him getting shot, it's like there's always but he was walking away from the cops and he was doing this, and why did he do that? It's like, no, he was shot in his back.
Right.
There's no other like, why did this? Well, because he did this, and that's why this happened, or like it's wrong. Period.
Yeah.
It's wrong. You know what I mean? But they don't understand that. They see us, and I look at you, brother, and I'm like, man, and I can only imagine what your mother goes through, because it's like, you look just like all of those brothers that, me and you look like,
Yeah.
You're a threat, a young Black man with dreads. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy, bro. Like, you can't walk out of your house and not, like, I mean, the anxiety I get when I see the police it's crazy. Yeah. Like I'm like, oh my God, am I gonna die? Like, you don't know.
Right?
Yeah.
You really don't.
You don't know. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Man. And they don't understand that. So like you said, with your dream is like,
what would you say to them?
I mean, I would try to keep a level head in a situation like that, right?
Right. Right.
And really hope. And you know what? I think that's the problem, right? Like, there's not enough dialogue. There's not enough dialogue, and then also in part, people don't have open minds. They believe what they want to believe, and that's it. If I tell you LeBron James is the greatest of all time, somebody's gonna be like, no, Michael Jordan's the greatest of all time. And then somebody's gonna say, no, Bill Russell's the greatest of all time. Like, it's gonna be like, no, Steph Curry. Like there's always gonna be somebody that has something to combat whatever you saying. You know what I mean? And it's like, we gotta like agree to disagree. Like, I don't know, we gotta come to some type of something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's just the way of America, man, and it's just crazy.
But what you're the example you just gave is, you just gave a list of greats. No one can say none of those men were not great.
Exactly.
So those are a list of greats. Then before that, you talked about Twitter being the devil. Those are very different. It's like the whispering of the serpent. It's like, I'm gonna whisper whatever I want with no validity, and just because either I think it'll cause more unrest, or it came up out of my soul and out of my mouth. Now you're talking about a conversation where everybody can agree those are greats.
Right.
It's only the issue of who's the greatest.
Right.
Versus.
But then there are some people that will argue and say, Steph Curry's not great. He lost to LeBron. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he lost to LeBron and they lost 3-1. Like, you know, like, but there will always be an argument is what I'm trying to say, regardless of who or what it is. And it's like, it's just sad to me. It's just sad.
Yeah. Yeah.
How would you, usually when I find myself arguing with someone, I typically, because I like to say that I'm not a child, but I'm still young. So usually when I'm arguing in the beginning, I tend to give too much energy towards the argument. I become too invested on preaching my side. When typically in the argument, the other party started the argument just to start the argument to see what I was going to
start the argument. Exactly.
Exactly. So I find myself having to reflect, take my energy back, and then come at the game a different way. Come at the game
smart,
right? Come at the game in a way where I already know that I've won. Like I step into the game knowing that I'm going to win, I have won, and you've already lost. And so when I think about these issues and talking to the people on the other side, I always want to convey to them that though you do not understand us, we have been forced to understand you. And in being forced to understand you, it has allowed us to give you all a grace that you don't necessarily deserve. And then you take advantage of it to further push your agenda.
Right.
So I just,
I hear what you're saying though. Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's like if you, I don't know if you guys been watching the Republican National Convention. I haven't, but I'll see like the news after, or see Twitter, people talking on Twitter and Instagram or whatever. And, you know, like Trump, you know, had the immigrants on there and granted them citizenship live during the convention, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, but that's trying to help you in your agenda when you have locked kids in cages and you have, you know, talked about building a wall for, like, you campaign on building a wall, but then you turn around and you're doing this. And it's like, it's just crazy, man. Like the stuff that the stuff that we allow them to sell us it's insane to me. It's insane. And you can only just laugh about it. Like you can only just laugh about it, and you hope that people see what's going on. A lot of people aren't trying to see what's going on. A lot of people are, you know, are in their own ways, and that's fine, but you got to wake up, and you got to, you know, if it's like, I hear a lot of Black people talking about they're not voting because they don't like the card, like they don't like Kamala Harris and they don't like Joe Biden, or you know what I mean. But they all agree they all agree Trump gotta go, right? But we got a two-party system where, you know, it's either this or that, you know what I mean? So what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? And it's like, you gotta, I don't know, you just have to, you just gotta like really sit back and think about what's going on in the world, right? And make the right decision for the future. Like, think not just for yourself and your mind, like think for the people, like think for, like, you know, what's going on. Like if you're upset about a two-party system, go out and vote, right? Like right. If you're tired of Republican and Democrat, go out and vote. There are independents, there are other guys who are on, who go for the ticket in the primaries. Nobody ever votes during the primaries. You know what I mean? Nobody knows anything about these judges that Trump has appointed. But these judges are on the ballot. You vote for these people. You know what I mean? So it's like, learn, like get the game and then make the change. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
let's start one step at a time. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I agree Trump got to go. And I don't agree with a lot of what Kamala Harris and Joe Biden stand for, but they're better right now than Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, we have to make that decision and then hold them accountable when they get in office.
Exactly.
Correct.
Exactly.
Correct. 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 And rather the concept, I mean, and that in lies part of this whole process that as well that we're in, right? Because when you choose not to vote, are you choosing not to vote out of apathy? Are you choosing not to vote out of self-hatred? Are you choosing not to vote out of futility? Are you, there's so many, are you choosing not, what is but there's a lot of rationale, I think, that goes on in the brains, especially of Black people, for all the reasons that they have been forced to deal with. And there is something somewhere we kind of get lost in that larger vote, because we really don't want to bring up, and we do want to bring up just all the system, the systemic self-hatred, the systemic just ugly, and all that gets layered down. It's all layered down under that. It's all layered down under that.
I totally understand. I totally understand all that. You can go back and, they talk about the Democratic Party and what they've done to Black people and how they really just like, they rely on a Black vote, but don't do nothing for the Black vote. Like, all of that stuff. I understand that stuff, but like, we got to start somewhere with the change. You know what I mean? Like, if we not fist to, as Black people, if we not fist to go out there just like this little white kid did last night, if we're not going to go out there on the front line and protect our people and, and really just kind of like fall into this race war that they're trying to create. Like, if we're not about that, like if we really not about that, then we need to put a plan together and use the system that they have put in place and reverse it. Like, we gotta just do something, but violence is not the way. But they're using violence against us right now. You know what I mean? And it's sad to see. It's sad to see, man. Like, I don't know. It's just sad.
For the longest time, we've had to take the high road. For the longest time, we've had to take the high road.
Exactly.
If you were in office, what two things would you implement to try and evoke the most amount of change?
If I were in office, one thing would be like, we have to change policing, right? Like, that's the one thing. Like, we really need to change how police our communities. And I think the biggest problem is, what I would do is, I would reach out to young African-American kids from their neighborhoods. I would, start with creating programs where, for one, families feel safe and they can do what they need to do in their communities to thrive. You know what I mean? But I would try to, and I always say this, like, I wouldn't do it. Like, I'm not trying to be a cop. I don't want to be a cop. But I feel like, in order for stuff to change in America, like, you have to, like, I'm from Oakland. I'm from East Oakland, right? Mm-hmm. And every cop that I've ever came across growing up was a white guy from another city, another county. Like he didn't live in Alameda County. He didn't live in Oakland. You know what I mean? I would change it. This is what I would do. I would say, if you're gonna be a cop in the inner city, you need to move your family in that inner city. You need to move your family in so you get to know these people and know what they're going through.
Yeah.
If you're not, then you can't be a cop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's the problem. These guys come from like different counties. They come from different cities, and you know, I mean, it's a great salary that they pay these cops. And you know, they go through the training, they do all of that stuff, but they don't train you how to deal with. They don't train them because they come from something different than we come from. They come from, you know. Right. I mean, they come from privilege. They come from, man, you know, who knows? They might have a dad or a grandfather who, you know, is just racist, you know what I mean? Or have taught them these values. And that's another problem. Like these values just keep on getting, you know, it's just trickling and trickling down. It's trickling down. It starts now with us teaching our kids and not to be like that. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
I would say mainly though, I would push for police from the communities. You know what I mean? If I know you and I know how you, if I know your mannerisms, and I know your slang, I know the music you listen to, I know all of this stuff, like, and we look like each other, like we could talk. You know what I mean? I could talk to you. But these guys come from, and it's what's been sold. Black is, you know, violent. Black is, you know, shoot to kill. That's what it is. You see a black person, you kill them. Like I really feel like that's the training in the police academy. It gotta be. You know what I mean? Because it's just like,
yeah.
I don't know. It's just it's insane to me, man. It's insane to me.
The thing I don't know. You know, I'm from East Oakland, and when I was a little girl, I do remember African American cops, but I don't remember that many of them. I'll be on, you know, and I remember when they retired out. You know, I remember my dad was friends with a few of them, and they retired out, and then I didn't really know anymore past that.
Right.
You know, and I remember watching even the evolution of there being black cops, and then there being Asian cops, and then there being, you know, I always watch because I've never, you know, being Hispanic cops, and then there were more white cops, and then, you know, and I always am I'm notorious talker, so I talk to everybody. I don't care.
That's good.
I'll talk to a scorpion. I'll talk to a flower. It doesn't. That's who I am. And so, and I wave at cops like I'm a cop waver.
She does. But it's a good way to like.
Because I also.
It's a good way to ease the tension, right? Because like they need to see that. They need to know that every black person is not violent and out to get you. Like they need to know that. Like that's not what it is.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And they also need a little love, which is also what I'm up to. Because my thing is, if somebody's just trying to say hi to you, and not everybody's like this, because the flip of it, and that's not justifying at all, but we know that if you feel like somebody's already out to get you, you're already ready to fight. You're already on the, you know, I don't want to pull out any basketball terms and get embarrassed in this.
No. But the thing is, I hear what you're saying. It's like, when the George Floyd thing happened, I had my sons with me somewhere. I feel like it might have been a coffee shop or something, and there was cops there.
Nope.
Sorry, those are dogs. Sorry.
Oh, no worries. And there were cops. There were cops there, and I looked at the cop in his eye. He looked at me. He's a white cop.
Yeah.
And we both knew. We both knew what was going on, but he broke the ice and he did something. He said something to my sons.
Yeah.
And then it was, you know, it was cool. It was like, and I didn't react like, don't say nothing to him. Like, I didn't do none of that. All right, sir. And I've always been like that. I always say, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am. Like, always approach it like that. But I think it's how you approach it too. You know what I mean? But even a lot of times it's like you could do that. I remember not the last time I got pulled over. the time before the last time I got pulled over. I put my hands on the steering wheel. I'm like, and I'm looking straight ahead. I'm not even looking at dude. And I'm like, yes, sir. And he just started laughing. And I'm just like, I'm like, straight up, like, I'm not, tell me what you need. And then, he's like, sir, you have your license and registration. Can I go for my looking straight ahead? Can I go for my license and registration, sir? He started laughing. He was like, yeah, man, go ahead. And I'm like, you sure? And I turn and look at him like, you sure? He said, sir, go ahead. It's not like that. So I grab my stuff. I give it to him. And then he says, the spiel. Do you know why I'm pulling you over? I was like, no. And then he explained it. But, it's about how you address those situations and handle those situations.
That's if you're given that opportunity.
That's if you're given that opportunity. Exactly.
Yes.
That's if you're given that opportunity. Because a lot of time, you see it now. These brothers, like, to shoot a man in his back in front of his kids too, like that's just despicable. Yeah. It's despicable, and it's like it's time for it to stop. It gotta stop. And I don't know, I couldn't tell you what we need to do. You know what I mean? Like I told y'all earlier, they talking about boycotting the NBA games tonight. All teams are talking about it. Last I talked, the Lakers and the Portland Trailblazers were saying that they were in talks to do it. I'm sure by the time we go online and look at stuff, they've probably made the decision to boycott the game too. So, but is that it? Is that boycotting the game? Is that
the solution to the problem?
Is that the solution to the problem? Like, you bring an awareness to by boycotting why you're doing it, but it's like, I don't know.
But but a boycott has to happen in entertainment.
I agree. Like it probably should happen across the board.
Right.
They always say hit the pockets.
Yeah.
They always say hit the pockets. If you want to make change, hit the pockets. You know what I mean? And yeah, I don't know.
Do you have any questions for us?
I have one thing.
Oh.
I have a question.
For me?
No, but
okay.
I like you though. I have a question. You've been on, you liked each other. He's been on a roll. Like, it's always interesting to see the cadence for this. He's like, yeah. And if you, I would love to know what is one of your most favorite things about fatherhood?
Oh, just watching them grow. I got a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old, and the 7-year-old second grade, the 5-year-old is starting kindergarten, and they're going to the same school now, because before one was at a daycare, one was at school, so now they're going to be at school together. But watching them grow, watching them become, watching them develop, their personalities and who they are, you know what I mean? Like, you can look at them, and me and my wife always, he get that from you, no, he get that from you, or that's from that person, like watching that kind of stuff, it's just wonderful. It's just wonderful to see them grow and to teach them. And it's a beautiful thing. Fatherhood is a beautiful thing. And it's a trip to me too, because it's like in the generation I came up in, like my father, he was there, but he wasn't in the household, right? Mm-hmm. So I always had my father. Like, my father was there. I see him if I didn't see him every weekend, I saw him every few days. Like I always saw my dad, you know what I mean? He was always there. So, but it's crazy too. Like I love the fact that this generation now, I don't care how gangster you are, how square you are, whatever it is. If you got kids, you are like, you pledge to be a good father, right? Like that's like the norm right now, especially amongst black men. And I love seeing that. You know what I mean? Like all my friends are great dads. And it's just amazing to see. Like I don't know any deadbeats. You know what I mean? That was different when I was coming up though. You know what I mean? I had friends like the 4 guys I came up with, my crew or the guys in my neighborhood, all of us were single parent households. 3 of us were single parent households. 1 had his parents, you know what I mean? And you could totally see, you know, the difference. Like he was the most confident amongst us. He was the most outgoing amongst us. He was the most charismatic out of all of us. Because I feel like he just had the foundation, he had the discipline there, you know what I mean? So, you know, it definitely makes a difference to have the father at home, I feel like, you know what I mean? So for me, that's another thing that I'm just like I'm here, like I ain't going nowhere. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it is what it is.
You know, one thing, and you know, this is what a podcast is about, right? It's not about agreeing with everyone.
Yeah.
But one of the things that, you know, I've been really meditating on in the last few years and looking at children who come from homes where both parents are there versus whether there's a single parent. I think that and you brought up this concept about confidence. I think that there is this assumption that a child who comes from a home with 2 parents makes all the money or does all these other things. But one of the things that I have found, which goes back into when we talk about people shooting people in the back, and this, I've found, this is Courtneyism, but I believe that a lot of times what it does is it brings in a different level of humanity and a different level of temperance and a different level of compassion. And at times choosing other things to be more important versus there just being sometimes a real edgy, and I'm not saying this across the board because my parents didn't, you know, but it being, I mean, there's that hustle, you know, you hear that story of the hustle, yeah. You know, like my dad left me, you know, and I'm gonna get the job done.
Yeah, that's what I did. That's what, yeah.
But for many people, that undercurrent is fueled by anger. That undercurrent is fueled by abandonment. Like, I'm gonna get that job done. And I'm not saying that's the case because it's different in every household.
It totally is.
But what I believe is by there being an availability for balance, when one parent isn't tested to the ends every day, yeah. I believe that it brings in an opportunity, no matter what race, of there being more humanity and there being
that's facts. I agree with that.
And that to me is when you talk about this generation and there's more honor now, you know, we can talk about what's good and bad about social media, but if social media is running they're running all the Black dads, then that to me is already the great step. That is already the beauty in that, you know, that there is at least enough images out there that if you're not carrying your weight, that, you know, you kind of getting shamed on your own. Like, right. You know, like,
no, and that's the thing too. Like now, it's not cool to be a deadbeat dad, right? No. It's not cool. Like you go, whether they're gonna run you through the dirt on social media, your family gonna run you through the dirt. Like you have to be a good father, especially now.
Yeah,
I'd actually say that my generation is one, in my opinion, one of the last generations to be, and I want to say that we were probably the general majority of my generation was probably raised by a single mother.
Facts.
So a lot of the African American men of my generation, I found, are a little bit more in touch with their emotions and understanding what those are and how to, I wouldn't say how to deal with them well, but they understand what they are. Whereas, actually, I feel like it's been that way. I don't really know. But watching, being in a single parent household, watching one person having to do everything, everything, and then coming to understand what everything is and how it would be divided between two partners in a household with both parents. It's very interesting to watch how people deal with it.
Yeah.
Especially just watch how people deal with it.
Yeah.
No, I feel you, man. And it's like, like I said, like I can't imagine not being here for these two dudes.
Right? That's exactly how I feel.
Like I can't imagine it. Like it's not gonna happen. I don't care. Like me and my wife are happy. I love her. She loves me. Like it's all love. But like, let's say something ever, God forbid something happens and it's like, this ain't working. This right here, me and you ain't working. Well, you're gonna have to figure this out. Cause it's like, I'm not leaving these dudes. Like I'm not leaving the roof that they're in. Like I'm not leaving. Like I'm not going anywhere. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm here. Like, and they're going to feel my presence. They're going to feel my presence. They got to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They need
you know what I mean? That's just what it is. Like, I'm not abandoning. I'm not going to abandon them. Like, I never will do that.
Mm.
Yeah.
I'll never do that.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions for us?
Well, yeah, I guess I would like to know what made you guys start doing the podcast. Like, I've never seen this before. It's interesting, and it's really, it's a great dynamic. Like, what made you guys want to do it?
I'm going to give an answer I haven't given yet when people ask that question. And it really is because he just had his birthday 2 weeks ago. And I realized when I posted this little, he's like, oh yeah. And I posted this little video of us dancing together. And someone asked me about it. And I remember when Osh was, in vitro. And I remember I would talk to him every day. And when I would talk to him every day, one of my conversations, and of course, because I am the woman that talks to people everywhere, right?
Right.
This isn't out of alignment. So I would have conversations like, what kind of dude are you going to be? Like, don't come out here. Like, we had real conversations. And one of them was, when you get older, I want you to dance with me. And I don't want you to shame me. Like, I see some of them little boys out with their mamas. It was like, please dance with me. And they're like, ugh. And I was like, no, you're going to dance. And then I would whisper into my belly, like, you got to dance with me. And you're going to enjoy it, right?
Nice.
And then one of the other things for me was that a sign that I got the job done was that I would want to go on vacation with my children and they would be interesting. And for me, the back end of that was, if they're going on vacation, chances are they can afford to go on vacation. That means that they are still well-read or well something.
Right.
They know how to contain themselves and they're not irritating in the hotel room or whatever.
Right.
There's so many little pieces around that, but I bring that all the way around to say that he and I, we get into fights, of course, often.
Yeah, that's going to happen.
But I honor his opinion. I believe that he has a certain innate level of wisdom, and I honor his perspective. And so for me, part of wanting to do this podcast is we both have a similar goal, but our path to get it is different for very obvious reasons and unobvious reasons. And so for me, I really like him so much.
Oh.
And so, you know, I mean, sometimes he says stuff on here and you know, y'all don't know. Like, I was like, well, okay. But that's not for me. That's him. And that's not for me to correct. That's not for me to pass judgment on or anything. But for me, this is a long answer, but for me, I'm honored that he's my son. And to have, when Black men have been the most, you know, Black people have, but my dad was my best friend. And I am friends with so many men. I'm friends with women, but I just feel like kind of even to this point where you're talking about this new generation all wanting to be a great dad. I feel that a lot of my generation, they're caught, and some of them are hiding, but they've been forced into hiding. They've been forced into these places where they haven't been given permission to allow their feelings out and to let their light shine. And that means a lot to me, and that hurts me a lot. And so all that to say, for me, being able to make these connections and make them with him mean a lot, because he'll ask some questions that I don't even think about asking because I don't have that perspective.
Right.
So long answer, sorry.
No, that's great. That's great. That's great.
The reason why I started doing this with her, and I'm going to give a different answer this time as well. The first reason was because she asked me to. and then after she asked me, a lot of like when she says that she asked for my opinion and that, no, she like really like almost makes me do things for her sometimes.
That's what moms do.
She asked for my opinion on this podcast, and then in the end, I was the one who had to come up with the concept, come up with the name, start and do that. And so by the end of it, it had become both of ours. And that's how she tricks me every time into getting me to do something. She's just like, oh, I need a little help. I don't really know which to, and then she'll step back and then she'll give it to me. And I'll be like, and then I'll have to do it. And then by that point in time, I'm part of it. But in doing this and starting this project, I didn't realize how much self-gratification I would receive from just hearing the stories of other men who are like me. And that's it.
Oh, nice.
That's
great. It's beautiful. No, it's beautiful to see. And I appreciate y'all having me, man. It's great, you know.
Yeah.
Super honored. Super honored that you gave your time more than you know.
No worries. It's you know, we're in crazy times, like I keep saying. Like, we're in crazy times, and my thing is too, it's like, you know, I just wanna you know, I don't know. If I'm available for something and someone reaches out to me for something, like I'm not gonna say no. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, and then, you know, I did the research and looked at it and I was like, oh, this is great. You know what I mean? So again, I appreciate you guys for having me.
All right. So one of the things that we ask every guest.
Maybe he has another question.
Okay. Pardon me.
You don't have to have any other questions.
I
have another question.
I would ask, why did you move from Oakland to Atlanta?
Well, that's a good question.
What do you mean? I'm not a child anymore, but I was a child then. So.
Okay, so it's twofold, and we're probably, and I'm going to wrap that up and say we're considering actually coming back to the Bay.
Okay.
But it was a mix of factors. One, I had lost both of my parents in a short amount of time. And I felt like all of us needed a change. I have a daughter as well. And I felt like it was mixed. So I sent him to boarding school in India.
Oh, wow.
And because I felt, for a myriad of reasons, one, that I couldn't, here comes the cat, we got a circus going on here.
No worries.
He loves this. He knows I can't move, so this is his power move. So for me, I saw some things happening with Osh that are in alignment to what happens to so many young Black men. And I saw his heart and who he's supposed to be, but I saw how America was moving him somewhere else. I didn't want him to go. And so I wanted to give him the space and the grace to bloom in a certain way wherever he could bloom. So I sent him away. And then, because I wanted my daughter to go to boarding school as well, and she had gotten into one of those prep schools back east, then I had to think about, well, a lot of those prep schools are very, the academics are incredible, but there's also, of course, a curriculum of elitism. And so then I had to sit there and say, well, I can't have some humanitarian for the people child. And then I got, I don't want to use the wrong word, child.
Right. I know what you're saying, though.
I was like, I can't do that. So then I turned around and then I had to force her to go. And so,
that was a struggle.
And so for me, then I had to sit there and, I would go visit. So that was my commitment. So by sending them, then that also put me on the table to say that these are my values, so that I had to go there to visit them. Then, as well as I knew they would want to come back to America or consider it, I also then had to think about how will they assimilate back into America and in what fashion. And so with that, then at that point, I had done my own level of healing, because it was really painful, a lot of what had happened during that time. We had lost my parents, we had lost his father, a lot happened. And so then I sat there and said, well, I want to give them a shot back in America. Where can I do this in the easiest way for them to be enveloped in a certain amount of love and feel like they were known? Well, I went to grad and undergrad in Atlanta. I went to Spelman College and Clark Atlanta University. Okay. And so I sat there and I said, well, if we go there, then chances are as they walk down the street, somebody's going to look at their face maybe and go, don't I know you, or don't I? And that was the experience I wanted. I wanted them to be able to walk to school, which is very difficult in Oakland. I wanted them, to be able to go sit at the Starbucks on the corner and, get that slice of America. And that's how I chose Atlanta. And, another long story, but that's what I chose. And Atlanta did that for us. And it has been wonderful. They went to a phenomenal public high school. They were able to get scholarships. They were able to walk the neighborhood, sit outside. I mean, we got that, which is beautiful. Nice. And so then now we're, looking potentially at something different. So.
I hate Atlanta. Hey, shut up. Why can't I say that? I hate Atlanta.
Oh, wow.
I do not like Atlanta.
Really?
Yeah. No. I don't like cities. I don't like heat. And I don't like fakeness.
Hey, brother. It's hard to, I feel you.
So, wow, here we are.
So one of the last things that we do on our podcast is we ask our guests to look into the camera and tell themselves and our listeners that they love themselves.
So you say, I love myself.
Oh, that's easy. Hey, I love myself.
And we love you too.
We
Yeah.
love you. It's beautiful to meet you,
You
Tisha.
guys too, man. It's again, I appreciate it, and you know, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We love you. All right. Well, we'll see you sometime in the O.
Yes, yes. Hopefully, when you guys move back to Oakland.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm supposed to wrap this up. I'm so caught up in the love. Coming into grace. Thank you for watching another episode, knowing who we are and loving us forward. Be safe out there. We love you.
God bless.
God bless.